Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 38 of the Ask the Coach show. I'm Jeff Plum, and with me, as always, is Super Coach Alois Rosero. Welcome, Alois.
Morning, Jeff. Very warm night last night here in Melbourne.
It was very warm, wasn't it? Did you get much sleep?
No, I was up bright and early this morning, 3 a.m. I reckon.
Well, I hope you're still sharp to answer these questions we've got today. We've got some good ones.
I'll be even sharper because I've been awake for so long.
Okay, that is excellent. Well, the first thing, Alois, we have to do is talk about the PingSkills question from Friday.
Yes, we do.
We do indeed. So we always try and talk about the question for people, and the question was, can your club survive without volunteers? So I think this is going to be a pretty easy question to answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I don't think, volunteers are so vital for our clubs especially. I mean, there's not a lot of clubs out there that operate on a professional basis where they're employing people. I mean, there are a couple, but in most cases, the clubs rely on their volunteers to operate and to run. And I think, often in clubs there's only a couple of volunteers that really do a bulk of the work. There's probably only 1, 2, or 3 people that really make each club run. So, probably I think, what you guys out there need to focus on is just seeing who actually does your work, and maybe just seeing if you can give them an hour of your time every now and then. And if you can, great, because that will make a big difference to how the club runs and operates.
Great, excellent suggestion. Yeah, there, Alois. Yeah, it is always helpful to the volunteers doing all the work if you can help out a little. So great suggestion. All right, that brings us on to today's PingSkills question, which is, should edge balls be ruled as out? That's an interesting question, Alois. What made you think of that question?
Well, yeah, we did get a comment on our Ask the Coach from someone. So yeah, there's already some interesting thoughts on there. But yeah, it'd be really good to hear your thoughts and see your thoughts here, and just see what you think about that. It's an interesting idea.
Indeed. All right, well, Alois, let's just test how sharp you are with the first question of the day. Okay, it's from Dimmer, and Dimmer says, I have a question about short pushing. Is there a difference for doing a short push compared to a long push, and if so, how does it differ?
Yeah, so Dimmer, the basic technique is the same. So we're thinking about using a nice open bat. I'm just going to get rid of my name down there. You don't need to know who I am anymore. Have a nice open bat when you're pushing, so that when you push through, you're generating a little bit of backspin yourself. So for the longer push, the stroke becomes a little bit longer, and you push the bat out towards where you want the ball to go. For the short push, there's a couple of differences. One, you need to get the ball as early as possible off the bounce. So by getting the ball early off the bounce, you're also getting it closer to the net, and that means that you can touch the ball closer onto the other person's side of the table as well. If you hit the ball from back here, it's difficult to get the ball short on the other side. So get up really close, get it as close as you can to the bounce, and then it'll help you to be able to get that ball shorter. The other thing is, and this is a really common one, that you don't need to push very much forward, or you don't have to have a lot of forward momentum with your racket when you're doing the short push. It's almost like you're just providing the angle of the racket and let the speed of the ball hit the racket and go back on the table. You might need a little bit of push this way and that way just to get it over. But first, try just putting your racket to the ball and allowing the ball to hit the bat, and just see how far it goes just by doing that. So it's a difficult thing to do, because and natural reaction is, when the ball comes and touches our bat, we want to do that and push forward on it, and that's why the ball often goes long. So short push, get it as early as you can, and don't use too much forward momentum.
Okay, Good tips, Alois. All right, Dimmer, get out there, try those tips, and see if it helps you with your short push. We also have a couple of lessons on pushing, which I'll put in the notes to this show. Okay, now we have a question from Ogaz. And Ogaz says, during the rally I think he's talking about, he holds the bat like he does for a pendulum serve. But when he does that, he can't hit the ball with the backhand, and if he holds the bat the normal way, he's not so good with his forehand. So how can he change this, Alois, and what should he do?
Yeah. So firstly, August, make sure that after you serve with the pendulum serve with the modified grip, so these three fingers behind the handle, as soon as you serve, get back to the normal grip. Okay. You really need to have that normal grip if you're going to play with the shake hand grip. So you're saying that the backhand becomes difficult with the penhold grip? Certainly does. So that's why you need to have that normal grip. For the forehand, you don't need to squeeze the bat too tight. Maybe that's what you're doing. Maybe you've got too tight a grip. Once you tighten your grip, it's hard to use your wrist in your hand. So keep your hand a little bit more relaxed so that you can still angle the bat correctly when you're playing the forehand. If it's tight, you're going to tend to play a lot of forehands across the table and off the side of the table. So keep it nice and relaxed so that you can hit the ball into the direction that you want to. So give that a go, August. That's yeah, but mainly, really, you do need to get that correct grip on the racket for the rally as well.
Okay, so I guess, Alois, with the grips, there's really the penhold and the shake hand that are the main grips, and they've been tested over time, so I guess it makes sense to use those correct grips.
It does, yeah. It does get tested over time, but yeah, there's another thought that we can start to think about maybe later on. Okay, is this a suitable grip for table tennis? And we can examine that in future shows.
Okay, excellent. All right, Alois, let's move on. Antonius has a question for us, and he says, I'm just wondering, how does a pen holder play as a defender? I don't see many pen holders defending.
Yeah, pen holders in general, defenders don't usually use the penhold grip. The penhold grip, you can't get as much reach. So with the shake hand grip, you can reach a little bit further, and that's an important aspect of when you're defending, because especially when you're back away from the table, you need good reach to be able to get the wider distances. The other thing is with the penhold, the backhand chop becomes very difficult. The forehand chop's not so bad. The backhand chop becomes difficult, and again, it's a limited reach out there on the backhand side. So that's why you'll find that most defenders will use the shake hand grip. There are a couple of defenders that have used the penhold grip and reasonably successfully, but yeah, they're a rare commodity. So if you're thinking about defending, you're better off just going with the shake hand grip.
Yeah, so I guess the only, if you are a defensive player, is to actually stay up close to the table and defend using a block, I guess, would be the only way with a pen hold.
Yes, yeah. I mean, blocking's all right, but yes, when you start to think about chopping and covering a bigger distance when you're back away from the table, yeah, then you're better off with a shake hand grip for sure.
Okay, excellent. All right, thanks for the question, Antonius. All right, next is a question from Salman, and Salman asks, I have a game coming up where my opponent has a very strong forehand loop, and he even tries to pivot. His weakness is his backhand. Okay, so do you have any tips or advice on how I can tackle this opponent?
Yeah, certainly do, Salman. So this is something that you can really start to play on. So often I see that players that have got really strong forehands do like to pivot and play around from their backhand corner, and they're actually stronger at playing their forehand from their backhand corner because they've had to do that so much in their playing career, because everyone plays the ball into their backhand side, so they get really good at pivoting and making the forehand from the backhand corner. But often they're not as strong playing their forehand from the forehand corner. So that's the first thing. Think about maybe pushing the ball out wide to their forehand first and getting them to utilize their forehand from there. The other thing that that does is that when you move them out wide onto their forehand, it then exposes their backhand side. So then to recover, they need to come back and play a backhand on the next ball. So often, if a player is strong on the forehand side and weaker on the backhand, try going wide out to their forehand first and then going into their backhand on the next ball. So that's a really sound match strategy.
Okay, that sounds good, Alois. So should we try that on every point, or are they going to start to get used to us playing out wide to the forehand?
Yeah, no, certainly not every point. So yeah, with all tactics, you need to vary it a little bit, but that's a good basic strategy. So go out there wide to the forehand first. Sometimes then you'll see that they will start to creep over a little bit and start to be ready for that wider forehand. So that's when you need to start to change tactics, play the first ball to their backhand. So then after that, they'll start creeping around here again, and that's when you go back wide to their forehand. So tactics are a lot about being aware of what your opponent's doing each point and just adjusting each point to what you see that they're up to. So in this situation, really watch carefully, and you'll start to notice if they just start to creep around on the return of serve, or after they serve, they'll take up this position rather than a more square-on position to be ready for that wide forehand.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point, Alois, and I can see from your answer here that tactics are important. There's a few basic things you can learn about each opponent that can make a big difference in your game. And we do have the PingSkills Vault to record your tactics against your opponent, so if you're not using that, make sure you start and put in your tactics against each player. So Salman, go in, create an opponent for this guy, and write your tactics there, and then you can revise them. And just a little bit of thinking along those lines, Alois, against each different player can make a huge difference, can't it?
Yeah, it makes a big difference in the end result. You know, like if you're always pushing to their backhand corner and they're good at it, then you're not exposing their weaknesses. So that's where, if you do find that little weakness, make sure you go to the vault, write it down, because the next time you play them, you won't have to work it all out again. You've already got it there. You can check it up. The last time I played against Jeff, this is what I did. And you can start with those tactics straight away.
Excellent. All right. Well, great question, Salman. And try out those little tactics and let us know how you go. All right. Well, that wraps up another show. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Make sure you check out our website, www.pingskills.com, and sign up for our free newsletter. All right. Thank you, Alois.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Have a great day, PingSkillers.